everyone, today I've got your Into the Storm movie review. It's Thorn versus Tornadoes as Richard Armitage and a group of storm chasers fight to survive the weather as tornadoes rip through one American town. Obviously, right off the bat, I was really looking forward to seeing this movie, and it took me a while to see it, but when I eventually did, I knew right off the bat that this was going to be one of my unfortunate bad love reviews. One of the reasons why I would say this is one of my bad love reviews is because it really wasn't as great as I was anticipating it to be. Now I think that actually might have been a bad thing because I was really looking forward to seeing it, and I know sometimes, not just like with this movie, but other movies in general, if you overhype a movie and you're really looking forward to it, sometimes it may not turn out exactly how you wanted it to be. But in this movie's case, I guess one could say, well then what were you expecting? I really think that this is one of my bad love reviews because I just did not really enjoy it. Now there were some things that I liked, but I'll get to them a little bit later. As far as the bad stuff goes, I would just say that it seemed as though it should have been a made-for-TV movie, like something on Sci-Fi. I mean, you definitely have this storyline where it seems very bland and generic. Obviously, like I said, you have mostly a cast of a lot of unknowns, some very well-known actors, especially the lead actor in this movie, where there's just all these different tornadoes. Now, there have been a lot of disaster movies, maybe not recently, but within the past couple of years, there's been a couple pretty decent disaster movies. Now, this one just, I feel, did not make the cut because it was straight up tornadoes, and I am a huge tornado person. I love tornadoes, and someday I do wish to become a storm chaser, but this made me not want to become a storm chaser. There were things that I just did not like. The special effects, I just was not impressed by it. Now, when I originally saw the trailer for this movie, I was really hyped up for this movie. It looked pretty good. Now, I wanted to originally set aside all of the negative aspects of the special effects, because I knew, like, it did not look as great. It didn't look as, like, just very realistic looking, and I know that with technology nowadays, you've got the advances to actually create realistic looking tornadoes, and I know that this time around, it just looked like one of those sci-fi movies, and I just did not enjoy it. It really took me out of the movie. I felt like it could have been better, but unfortunately it wasn't. It's just some of the action sequences, or at least the scenes where people were interacting with the tornadoes, it just felt really, really lame, and I was just rolling my eyes. I just think I wouldn't want to fully blame the actors for it because, I mean, this does have a few actors that I am familiar with. Obviously, Richard Armitage coming out of being this big name star, especially under Warner Brothers in the Hobbit trilogy. And, I mean, I really found him to be a great actor, but just not in this movie. Now, I was really impressed by his American accent because I was really worried about that. So I would say he was definitely one of the best parts of the movie, but I feel like his acting really was downplayed because it was being overshadowed by all of the bad tornado shots and some of the other bad acting. Sarah Wayne Callis, who I feel like her character could have been used a little bit more, but her character was also downplayed by not really showing that you could have a strong female lead. Now, I'm not expecting all these movies to have a strong female character, but if you have a lead actress, she needs to stand out more, and she just did not stand out. And for any of the other actors whose names I just had to forget because it didn't really matter. What also, something I didn't really care much about was the fact that this was a found footage style movie, and they were taking all of these different shots from people who had like different video cameras, because they were all videotaping all these events, and some of the time it looked like they were switching between an actual, like a film camera as if you're watching an actual movie, instead of somebody who's actually like recording it on a handheld camera. And that was kind of taking me out of the movie completely, because I didn't like how they just kept switching back and forth, and it got a little bit annoying, but I tried not to think about it too much because I still wanted to enjoy the movie overall. So I'd say that was definitely one of the bad parts about it. Another thing that I find to be very interesting is the fact that everybody seemed to have compared this movie to either Twister or Sharknado. Now, I wouldn't want to go down that road because I know that everybody's going to be like, what are you talking about? Twister was better. They're very different type of movies, because Twister was made in the 90s, and I know even back then the graphics weren't even that great. Now, I was hoping that they would try to improve it this time around, and I would say that it might have slightly improved, but it still didn't come out as a great movie. Sharknado, don't even get me started. It is not like Sharknado, but I would say that I would agree with some people saying that this should have been something either not made for the silver screen, but for the small screen, as in the TV. I did like some things about this movie. I found, especially in the opening scene alone, I got really terrified by it. You know, there were some other terrifying scenes, like that one guy who was being like lifted up in the car, like the tornado, and you like see the shot of like him above the clouds, but then it's like going down. It almost made me sick to my stomach, but I thought that was a really cool shot that they had. The sound effects, I really wanted them to really emulate with the action scenes that were going on, especially showing the tornadoes, actually showing more of the devastation. I know they showed the aftermath, but I feel like that was the only thing that really left an impact on the movie. Because sometimes when one of the tornadoes ended up like getting bigger and bigger, or it would just randomly disappear and then, oh, all of a sudden it comes back, I thought like that was just the most ridiculous part of it. Okay, honestly, would that actually happen? Now, I haven't been through a tornado before. I haven't seen an actual tornado in real life, but I do sympathize with those who have been in tornado disasters. I know like they definitely would want this movie to reflect, if it were a disaster movie, they want to see, or not really want to see, what a tornado can actually cause, because they've lived through that, which might be a huge issue for some people who go into seeing this movie. This movie just did not cut it with me. I honestly don't know if I would see it again. I mean, I would really want to take all the time in the world to be able to go back to watching this, maybe with an even more open mind, because I know like it was one of my most anticipated movies, but it just did not sit well with me, and unfortunately that is one of the reasons why I have to call this a bad love review. Overall, Into the Storm, I thought was going to be a decent movie, maybe a good movie, but it ended up not really being that great of a movie that I thought it was going to be. There were some things I liked, there were some things I definitely did not like. That is what I would have to say about that. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of Into the Storm. Did you like it? Did you hate it? How would you rank this with Sharknado and Twister? As always, you guys can subscribe to my channel. I've got more movie reviews, movie updates, come back every week for a Chill Thursday video. You guys can also like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter, and I'll see you guys later.